Welcome to Live Impact News inside our WCNC Plus studio, inside the Live Impact studio, I should say. We're here at 7 o'clock until 9 o'clock. Jeb Goldman is here, and we have Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich. Haven't had Brad on for a little while, Brad. There's so many things going on right now, right? Love and Life Fest is actually happening as we are talking.
Yep.
And people are texting you, trying to get an update on where the forecast is. Let's update that.
Yeah, so I've been talking back and forth with them. They're getting ready to put on the final acts for the night.
Okay.
So, yeah, that's the big, the headliners. That's the thing about this festival. You know, I think the organizers, they're okay if we get a delay in the middle of the day. But the evenings are troublesome because these are the main acts, and because of the sound ordinance, you can't delay too long because then they can't play after a certain time. So you could really shorten some of these acts. So the good news right now, I just looking at the radar, I've been tracking it. We got really close to having lightning within 6 miles. We have a severe thunderstorm warning for southeastern Mecklenburg County and parts of Union County. Okay. So this is basically, it got as close as Matthews, the lightning, to Uptown. And the criteria for Love and Life, just to kind of peel back, a little bit of the curtain here on how this works, they have a 6 mile radius rule for lightning. And it has to be 6 miles and it heading towards them. So they don't want like a rogue lightning strike 6 miles away where the storm's moving away and they know it's not going to get closer. Yeah. So 6 miles and heading towards them. So we got really close to that threshold with a couple strikes near Matthews and almost as close, some cloud-to-cloud strikes near Plaza Midwood, but nothing got close enough to threaten the Love and Life Music Festival. Now, there's a different criteria for Bank of America Stadium. Mm-hmm. They have a very strict policy of 8 miles. And they use what's called the 30-30 rule, which is you basically wait 30 minutes after the last lightning strike before you start things back up. So if there's a lightning strike within 8 miles, they will clear the lower bowl, they'll clear the stands, you'll go to the concourse, they'll stop the concert, stop the game, whatever event's going on, and they're going to wait 30 minutes until there's no more strikes within 8 miles. Okay. Now, we were just talking before we went on, sometimes they don't communicate that very well.
Right.
But that's the policy. And sometimes you just, I can watch it in real time and kind of give people a hint on social media like, hey, this is what the clock is at right now. And I'm usually within a couple minutes of when they start things back up.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the criteria. Now, the problem, Colin, is tomorrow. And I'm gonna pop up our future cast here. So tomorrow, even though we have isolated storms tonight, it's really not that bad. We can work with some of this. But tomorrow, we're going to see widespread showers and thunderstorms. Not that it's going to rain all day. So for the first half of tomorrow, probably going to be okay. So Love and Life, I think, in the morning or the mid-afternoon time frame, probably going to be okay until about 3 or 4. Then we'll have these same pop-up storms. And just like today, even if we get a delay, it might be 20, 30, 40 minutes until the lightning passes. But as we go towards the main acts, and this is what I'm worried about tomorrow, 7 o'clock, it looks like there could be some pretty good storms around. Mm-hmm. And so this would be when the main acts are coming on tomorrow night, and Kendrick Lamar.
Right.
So we've got 2 events during the evening time frame, and as we get later into the night, hopefully it moves out.
Okay.
And then we could see additional showers after 11 o'clock. So I think there's a window to get everything in tomorrow. The question is, is there going to be a delay at some point where folks are going to have to evacuate the festival and evacuate Bank of America Stadium? Or I've seen this where they just don't let people in until the coast is clear. And in that case, I'm going to tell everybody watching here, don't stand outside. Don't wait by the gates. Go into a parking garage. Go back to your tailgate wherever you started the night and hang out there in a safe spot until the coast is clear.
Yeah, great advice. We were talking about, right, if a lightning strike, how hard could it be, right, to put up just a timer, letting folks know, right, to count down. Hopefully maybe they can think of that. I know it's easier said than done, especially when you are out in the environment and it's actually happening, but that might help folks pinpoint when and where and all those type of things.
Yeah, and so I'll tell people, if you want to follow me on social media, I'm working tomorrow. I'm actually doing weather support for Love and Life, so I'm going to be monitoring this myself, and what I'll try to do is if I see like there's a delay, especially at Bank of America Stadium, I'll try to be transparent and say, hey, here's where the strike was, this is how long it was, and kind of give you a rough idea so you know how long you have to wait.
Great.
And so that's the key. And the other thing to remember, Colin, is it's not rain that's the problem. If it's raining and there's no lightning, guess what? Nothing's going to change.
Good to go.
You're going to stand there with your poncho on in the downpour. It happened last year at Love and Life. It rained most of the event, but there was no lightning.
Yeah.
So, so just be prepared for that as well. If there's lightning, there's a delay, but rain does not delay this at all.
Okay.
So bring the poncho. Remember, you can't bring umbrellas in to either a venue because obviously for multiple reasons. One, it could be a weapon. Two, it blocks the view of everybody behind you trying to watch. So you don't want to have an umbrella. So bring a poncho. And they're great now. You fold them up, you stick them in a bag or put them in your pocket and just carry it around in case you need it.
Any question mark Sunday that you're seeing?
No,
now?
Sunday actually looks pretty good. I think once we get past the morning, Sunday's probably going to be even better than today. So it'll move out pretty quickly. It's really Saturday night is that thing. And I also would be remiss not to mention during the day we have a Knights game tomorrow.
That's right.
I think it's a 105 first pitch. At home.
Right.
We've got the Fort Mill Strawberry Festival.
Yes.
Biggest strawberry festival, and I think it's one of the biggest festivals in South Carolina.
It really is, yeah.
And they have all-day concerts and event. That's a great event as well. Same story there, severe weather, rain, and they have different criteria down there. And again, there's not a lot of shelter down there, so they tend to be a little bit more cautious with giving people time to evacuate because I don't know if you've been down there. Did you go last year? Parking's not the greatest.
No, it's not.
It's really far away from everything.
You could be stranded really easily.
So they give you lots of heads up. So I would say they're almost cautious to a fault where they will, like, if it even looks remotely dangerous, they're going to tell people.
You canceled it last year, the year before, maybe?
There was. I can't remember what year it was. It was maybe last year.
One of the days, or at least, because I think we were supposed to head out there.
And they never really postponed it. It was just one of those things. So this time of year, Colin, it's always tough. I feel bad sometimes as a meteorologist. You tell people it's like I got a birthday party or I got a pool party or something. Here's the thing: I just never understood people. I'm like, it's May,
right?
You know, you plan an outdoor event. You've got to have a plan for the weather. It'd be great if it was perfect for everybody's outdoor event, but in most cases, like me personally, I don't change plans unless I know it's going to be like just an all-day rain. If it's going to be pop-up storms like this, I'll just figure out a way to work around it. You know, if you have an event, like say, hey, everyone come in for 30 minutes, let's watch a movie, let's cut the cake inside, wait for the storm to pass, and then let's go back outside.
There we go.
So you can do that. And that's what I say, have a plan. That's what I mean by that is just where would we put everybody at my party if there was a thunderstorm, or do we have shelter? And how long can I entertain a bunch of kids in my house until I want to push them back outside? Those are the kind of things you can plan for. And if you're going to Love and Life, think about what parking garage you're going to go to nearby. I know 7th Street is where they kind of guide people, but there's a lot of parking decks in and around First Ward Park area and other buildings that you can go and seek shelter until the storm passes.
Okay. Well, and like you said, when it happens quickly, you don't want to be stranded, right? You want to know where you're at. You could always download the WCNC Charlotte mobile app. That'll help you as well, updated by our team meteorologists here at WCNC Charlotte. Brad, I know you got a ton of other things to do, and you're going to be working this weekend, so appreciate you joining the stream and letting us know and keeping us safe as you always do. It's great to have your face in the stream as well, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Have fun this weekend. I think this is a great weekend for Charlotte, and we'll dodge these thunderstorms. We'll get through them just fine. It worked out great last year.
Yeah, it did.
It'll work.
It really
this year.
did.
Yeah.
It set the scene, really, Love and Life.
Yeah,
really.
I mean, it was like I was telling the organizer, I think you guys got super lucky, and so far tonight we've been lucky, and they're used to it, though. They do a lot of these events, so it's not a big deal.
Vanessa talks about Stevie Nicks in the rain after the officer involved shooting last year and how just picturesque that was, and kind of mended people's hearts in that moment. But all right, thank you so much, my friend.
You're welcome.
Appreciate your time. We'll let Brad get going, but he's going to have a full weekend, and so does Charlotte as well. So speaking of that, there was a Love and Life press conference earlier today about the preparation, about safety. Obviously, last year that was a big discussion. As I just alluded to, the officer ambush had happened, and so the city was obviously on edge. A lot of folks didn't know what would happen, and obviously CMPD said to folks last year, right, we're going to be here, we're going to make sure that this event is safe, and they did just that. Going to do the same thing, I think, this weekend as well. So they had a press conference earlier about what's ahead, what people can expect who live in and around Charlotte for Love and Life Fest.
Good morning, and thank you for coming out today. We are gearing up for a huge weekend, and Uptown Charlotte will be buzzing with energy, excitement, and entertainment. And that's just the beginning. We're thrilled to welcome the Loving Life Music Festival to the heart of our city for its second year, a celebration of music, culture, and community that's sure to be unforgettable. We've got the Charlotte Knights at the field at Truist Field, and just a few blocks away, Kendrick Lamar will be taking the stage at Bank of America Stadium, bringing fans from near to far as a part of this great experience of what he does and the way that he performs. This is an incredible lineup of events that show that what we already know. Charlotte has become a true destination for music, sports, and culture. Also, because of the hard work being done by City of Charlotte employees and all of our partners. Your hard work helps to keep people safe and to showcase our city to the world. So to our residents, visitors, partners, thank you for making Charlotte the place to be this weekend. Let's have a great time, let's stay safe, and keep showing the world what makes our city so special. Thank you very much for having you today to understand this and to communicate it to our citizens. And now we are going to hear from Deputy Chief of Special Operations, Jacqueline Briley. Jacqueline, take the mic.
Thank you, Mayor. Good morning. I'm Deputy Chief Jackie Briley. I'm over the Special Services Group at the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department. Our Special Events Division is a key component of overseeing public safety at events like Love and Life. Thank you to everyone joining us remotely. CMPD will also is excited to welcome the thousands of visitors who will be in Uptown for the festival. We want to assure everyone that safety remains our top priority as we are building upon a successful security measures and implemented from last year's inaugural event. Our team is highly trained in supporting large-scale events as we have done previously. We've established a comprehensive staffing model that covers both the interior and the exterior of this event to include traffic and road closures. Our command center will be fully operational and staffed throughout the 3 days to ensure we have continuous monitoring and an effective response. We encourage our citizens to proactively approach any of our officers with any safety concerns that they may observe or be a part of. All 911 calls related to this event will be promptly dispatched and addressed as we have a dedicated dispatcher all 3 days to this event singularly. As for road closures, 7th Street and 8th Street between Brevard and Cotwell will close on Tuesday night. That's tomorrow. The CMPD will implement all other necessary road closures uptown prior to the concert starting on May 1st at 9 a.m. Roads in the immediate vicinity of the festival site will close, and the majority of the roadways will return to normal operation on Tuesday, May 6th, prior to morning rush hour. A detailed list of the road closure information will be available on our MyCMPD app and all of our social media channels associated with CMPD. We appreciate everyone's understanding and request patience, and as an increase of pedestrian and vehicle traffic. So please plan accordingly if you are coming uptown and not attending the festival. Pedestrians are advised to allow for extra travel time, and we encourage all attendees to the festival to use their website for different policies and procedures and frequently asked questions. A designated rideshare pickup is also located at 14 North College Street. That is just past the United Presbyterian Church. Again, this information will be on all of our CMPD socials and app. For those planning to drive, for safety and security, remember, do not bring valuables and leave them in your vehicle. Make sure to lock your doors and remember where you park. We look forward to everyone visiting Uptown to enjoy this experience safely and responsibly. Thank you. I'll hand it over to CAT CEO.
Good morning, everyone. I'm CAT CEO Brent Cagle. So at CATS, we're excited to be supporting and working with, for the second year in a row, Love and Life Music Festival. We do expect a large percentage of the festival goers to be using CAT services as they're getting to and from this wonderful three-day event. We'll echo the words of CMPD, vibrant activities, a lot of activities downtown this weekend, the festival, other concerts, sporting events, so we know that there will be crowds and it will be difficult getting in and out. CATS has an answer for those riders. We'll also be promoting through this Thursday a discounted pass for the festival. That pass can be purchased via the CATS Pass app. It is $12 for the three-day event. That is a significant discount, and it's available through this Thursday. The pass can also be purchased at a discounted rate of $15 on Friday. This compares to our standard daily pass rate of $6.60. During the event, we'll have ambassadors located along the Blue Line to assist riders with any questions that they may have while they're trying to find their way into downtown or uptown, and if they have questions about how our services work. We'll also have additional service capacity supporting the Blue Line with additional trains and frequencies to help with the crowds. And we will, again, for the second year, be running express buses between the main event and J.W. Clay, University City Boulevard, and the I-485 Park and Rides. At CATS, safety is our #1 priority, and we would highly encourage all riders, if they see something, say something. We've made this very easy. Riders can use the CATS Pass app. The Report a Problem button on the app will allow them to quickly report any issues or activities that they deem need to be reported. Again, all of this comes together as a team effort, and we appreciate everyone working together as we work to support this event. Thank you. With that, I'll introduce Steve Bagwell, CEO of the Charlotte Regional Visitors Authority.
Good morning, everyone. First, I want to thank the mayor and to all of our city community partners for bringing us together today. We're excited to welcome back Love and Life Music Fest, an event that not only brings incredible talent and energy to Uptown, but also gives us a chance to roll out the welcome mat to thousands of visitors. Last year, this festival made a big first impression. With more than 86,000 attendees, over 40 performances, and a sold-out crowd. That kind of response doesn't just say something about the music, it says something about our community. Events like Love and Life are a gateway, a way for people to discover the Queen City, to fall in love with its vibe, its food, its people, and its neighborhoods. Maybe they come for the music, but they leave with a new favorite brunch spot, or a great local coffee shop, or plans to come back with friends and family. That's what the visitor economy is all about, connection. Every hotel stay, every light rail ride, every local business or brewery someone discovers, it all adds up. These weekends bring real impact to the small businesses and hospitality workers who make Charlotte what it is. At the CRVA, our role is to help elevate the visitor experience. So as we get ready for another exciting weekends, I just want to say Charlotte is ready to show off. We're proud of this city. We're proud of the experiences that keep bringing people back to Uptown. So I want to thank everyone who makes this special weekend possible. Let's make it a weekend to remember, and one that keeps Charlotte at the top of people's must-visit lists. Thank you. So with that, I'll welcome Michael Smith, CEO of Center City Partners.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you, Mayor. Thank you for city staff, fire and police that make this possible. We couldn't be more excited to welcome Love and Life back for its second year in Uptown Charlotte. What makes Uptown so special is all of the extraordinary events that occur there, only in Uptown. In fact, just weeks ago, we wrapped up a 17-day music, art, food, and idea festival, Charlotte Shout, showcasing hundreds of talented local artists, musicians, chefs, foodies, and thought leaders from around the country, around the world, and around the corner. This next wave of vibrancy begins on May 2nd with Love and Life Music launching year 2 in First Ward. And once again, Center City Partners and Music Everywhere Charlotte are proud to be sponsors of the Love and Life Music Fest. We know that this is a powerful generator of vibrancy. It brings close to 100,000 music lovers into Uptown and to experience what makes Uptown so special. Music is powerful. It has this ability to bring people together to foster creativity and vibrancy and drive economic growth. It is a bit of an elixir. We're excited to welcome it back into Uptown Charlotte. And now I'd like to welcome Greg McConnell, our festival director. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm incredibly thankful and proud to be here today ahead of year 2 of Love and Life Music Fest. We're excited to build upon the success of last year's inaugural event, continue building something that is truly special for Charlotte. Last year, Love and Life was honored to be recognized as one of USA Today's top 10 new festivals, and just this year, we were named one of Charlotte Magazine's Charlotteans of the Year. Acknowledgements that have put us on a national stage and would not have been possible without the tremendous support, communication, and collaboration of the city agencies represented here today. We organize fests across the country, and I can say with complete confidence, the collaboration we've experienced here in Charlotte has been the best we've ever encountered. The partnership between the public and private sectors here is unmatched. The level of teamwork, attention to detail, and shared pride in the city has been outstanding. We want to extend a special thank you to Mayor Lyles, Deputy Chief Briley and the Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department, Brent Cagle and the CAT System, Steve Bagwell and CRVA, Michael Smith at Center City Partners, CDOT, Charmec Emergency Management, and all other public safety and operations partners. We'd also like to extend a special thank you to the First Ward neighborhood for being patient with us as we put this event on. Safety remains our number one priority in every decision we make. The professionalism and proactive leadership from everyone I just mentioned has been critical. Together, we've been able to take the lessons learned from last year, address areas for improvement, and plan an even safer, more seamless festival experience for everyone. I also want to extend a big thank you to the entire city of Charlotte for embracing Love and Life and celebrating everything this incredible city has to offer. The local music community will be strongly represented with 18 bands on our local stage. Over 10 of Charlotte's best restaurants will be featured at the festival. Several amazing local artists, some of them students, will showcase their work throughout the event. And nearly all of Charlotte's sports professional teams are getting involved as well, including the FC, the Hornets, the Knights, the Carolina Ascent, and the Charlotte Checkers. Thanks again to everyone who had a hand in bringing this vision to life. We can't wait to see you all in Uptown at Love and Life Year 2. Thank you. And I'll hand it over to Lawrence Corley.
Thank you all again for joining us. At this time, we'll take questions from our media partners. In addition to the representatives behind me, we have staff in the room with our transportation department, as well as emergency management and fire. We'll take questions at this time. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, so talk to us a little bit about maybe some safety challenges that you guys faced last year, or maybe some things you thought you guys did really, really well that you want to implement this year. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Thank you. Good question. Last year, like I said, we learned areas of opportunity where we could grow. As far as safety challenges, I think by us having a very successful event last year on public safety-wise, there wasn't too many changes that we needed to make. Obviously, we did make some changes with road closures and working very closely with residents of First Ward, having one-on-one conversations with folks to make sure that they know that they can get to their businesses and their residents. And so as far as changes from last year, those were probably the biggest changes in being able to have those one-on-one contacts with people able to help them get to their residences.
And to add to that, when it comes to there are so many different events going on this weekend, can be large, how do you guys spread yourselves, or how do you guys manage all of those to make sure everybody's still?
Okay, thank you. Another good question. One of the things we did forecast when we knew these events were coming, one of the things we do internally is we did restrict all single vacation days. So if an officer was scheduled for a day off or an extended vacation, everybody will be working because obviously we are beholden to our public safety and 911 call response. So pretty much if you have a uniform or if you're a detective, you're working this coming weekend, whether or not you're at the stadium, the night stadium, or this event here, as well as answering calls for service.
And this is for Greg. Now, you kind of mentioned a kind of similar world of questions, but like, you know, when you talk about the lessons you took from last year and so forth, what are some of those lessons and what are some of the changes that, you know, you guys are, you know?
Well, I feel in regards to safety, but the majority of it was traffic related and how the street closures and making sure we didn't, you know, set up and break down are a big part of this event, and they take time. And we worked it out that we were able to get the streets closed, and that we think we can get everything done, you know, in a safe and timely manner this year.
What about, just to follow up on that, Greg, what about for the festival goers? I know at the first.
Sorry?
For the festival goers, because
Yes.
I know at the first day there were some problems maybe with some water stations and some other things. What have you guys learned from that?
Well, again, along those same lines, we're going to have the streets closed sooner, can get set up more quickly, and we'll have all those things set up. I'm not sure what you mean exactly with the water, but I know we did open a few minutes late last year, and we just had a tough time getting the finishing touches on things, and we've definitely learned that lesson. That's not going to happen to us this year.
Are you expecting a larger crowd this year?
We're going to be in the ballpark. We're a big push in the last few days like we had last year. I think we're going to be pretty similar to where we were last year.
Do you have the exact estimated attendance?
We anticipate there's going to be 20,000 plus in attendance. Yeah.
Also, does anybody know the numbers for the night's games and Kendricks? I'm trying to get an idea of how much it all adds up to, how many people will actually be in Uptown.
I don't know that information.
I don't know what Kendrick is going to do. All I know is I had to get a ticket for my niece, and it was a lot of money. I know.
That data may be available as we see the total numbers after these minutes.
I just want to ask, Greg, could you clarify, did you say that you were expecting about 20,000 people to?
20,000 plus as we push towards the end. Yes.
And last year you guys said it was like 86,000
We were in the mid-20s last year, I think, on average per day.
per day? So
Yes.
you're expecting 20,000 people per day?
Per day, yes, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Daily.
Okay,
My mistake, my mistake. That's how we think, is each day, yes.
Okay. I had a question for for Steve. You said that there were about 86,000 people who attended last year. Do you know about how many of those were out of towners, and also maybe what the economic impact was? I don't know if you guys had run something on that.
We're working on the study from last year with the officials from Lemon Life, so we'll release that to them to consider putting out publicly. But certainly, music festivals like this, music in venues like Bank of America Stadium, Spectrum Center, are having a huge impact on visitation and economic impact in our community. We see a strong association between festivals like this, concerts, big concerts in our arena, and driving people staying in hotels and visiting our community. We definitely know that association exists and can provide some data on that as well.
And the 86,000 you were mentioning, that was for the entirety of the festival last year?
Yeah, that was for the entirety of the festival, so adding up all people that attended all days.
In terms of hotels, do you guys know what the capacity of hotels are at this point?
I have to get back to you on what they're expecting from an occupancy standpoint, but we expect it to be a strong weekend.
I had another question for Greg. So you said that you guys do a lot of festivals like all around the country.
Yes.
And that Charlotte is particularly great for you guys. I guess what about Charlotte, or what about staging a concert here is different from in other places, and that you guys
Well,
I'm
First and foremost, we're based here, so we all live here, and this is our town, and we're very proud to bring this event here. The collaboration that we have with these folks is just amazing, and part of it is because we're here and we can all get together on a regular basis and talk. But I think the police, the fire, the emergency services, everybody has just stepped up. They've shared their knowledge with us and insight, and it just makes for a very seamless planning process. I don't know if seamless is the right word, but a pretty solid planning process.
I have a Kat's question. I don't think you said this, are we increasing frequency at all on the line on the Gold Line?
There will be additional vehicles to handle the increased crowds, both on light rail vehicles and with the special event buses taking people to the end of line if they choose to park at any of our park and rides along the blue line.
It's still 15 minutes?
So it'll basically be based on demand, and we'll be flexing the schedule to accommodate the crowds as we go through the event.
And also, Brett, did you have to make any changes from last year, looking at demand and so forth? And then is there any numbers as far as, people taking advantage of public transportation when it came to Loving Life and so forth?
Yeah, so we know that post-pandemic special events drive a lot of ridership or heavy ridership, high ridership days. Last year was the same with Love and Life, and we would expect it again this year. Lessons learned, I would say, we had a lot of positive feedback, so we expect folks to be utilizing transit to get into Center City. So one of the lessons learned was getting out ahead of sooner on the discounted passes, and also we had a lot of good feedback about the special buses, the direct or express buses for end of line that seemed to work out very well. A lot of good feedback last year, so we'll be continuing that again this year.
Thank you.
Just one other, I hate to go back to this, but Greg, because I'm doing the math in my head. Reporters are not always the best with math, but it's a 3-day festival, right?
Yes.
So 20,000 people per day would be about 60,000 people. Last year it was 86,000. Are there slower ticket sales?
We're guessing at this point, as things are, like I say, ramping up in the last couple of days. We were in the ballpark of where we are now at this point last year.
Okay.
If that helps. Yeah.
It does. I have a question too for the deputy chief. This is sort of a different topic, but tomorrow marks the 1-year anniversary of a shooting of several CPD officers. As I remember it, I was here last year, and I think the news broke right after this press conference last year. I'm not sure if you can speak to this, but are there any plans for memorials or remembrances or anything that you can share about that anniversary?
That was actually on April 29th, and there are some things that we have planned privately. And that's the extent I'll discuss that.
Okay.
Thank you.
I do have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Could you talk about the dedicated dispatcher information?
Yes. As part of our setup in our command center, we'll have a 911 or a communications dispatcher set up. So any 911 calls that we get related to or on site of the actual festival, we'll be able to dispatch those directly on one of our designated channels that's operating solely for the festival. So all of the events going on at the same time, everybody will have their own individual channels, and the one for the festival will have their own dedicated dispatcher so that way we can address any issues that come up very quickly.
And then what advice do you have for people who are not festival goers but live in the city and see an increase in traffic?
Definitely, again, plan accordingly if you are coming through. And as we said in our other talking points, it's okay to flag an officer down, ask for guidance and direction. We have troubleshooters that are specifically assigned to the festival so they can go around and help out anybody who can't get to where they need to go to. So again, we just ask for patience and again, communicate with an officer that you see in uniform, and we can try to resolve any issues that we have.
Take one more question. All right, thank you again, everyone, for joining us. We look forward to a safe and successful weekend of events, and if any additional information is needed, feel free to reach out to the City of Charlotte Media Relations. Have a great afternoon.
All right, so Love and Life happening tonight, tomorrow night, and Sunday with Gwen Stefani hitting the stage. She is the headliner for the show tonight, which I think she's supposed to hit the stage at 9:30. We'll see if that happens. Obviously, because of some of the rain that we've been watching, some of the things in terms of the forecast that might impact things here in Charlotte. But we'll see on that. We did speak to meteorologist Brad Panovich about that just about 20 minutes ago. So if you missed that, obviously this will be on WCNC Plus at some point, and you can stream when you'd like, but we'll cover that again later on. We're going to go to this press conference from Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney today. He's going to visit with U.S. President Donald Trump, which we know there's been lengthy discussions about tariffs between the two nations, exports and imports. But Carney's Liberal Party scored a stunning comeback in their victory in a vote that was seen as a rebuke of Trump in some ways, at least from what the AP is reporting here. And the trade war has really outraged Canadian voters, which is why they believe Carney was selected to be the PM of Canada. So let's listen in to what he says. Of course, I'm sure he'll allude to that meeting coming up this Tuesday with the president.
Welcome to the National Press Theatre. Bienvenue à cette conférence de presse. My name is Mia Rabson. I'm the president of the Parliamentary Press Gallery, and I'll be moderating this press conference today. Hopefully, this is the first of many times the Prime Minister will join us in this room. As you can see, there is a lot of interest in asking questions, so I hope you will afford us as much time as you can today. And with that, I will let you begin, and then we will turn to the room for one question and one follow-up.
Fantastic. Thank you very much, Mia. Bonjour tout le monde. Good morning, everyone. On Monday, Canadians elected a new government to stand up to President Trump and to build a strong economy. Canadians also sent a clear message that their cost of living must come down and their communities need to be safe. As Prime Minister, I've heard these messages loud and clear, and I will act on them with focus and determination. Les Canadiens et Canadiennes ont fait entendre leur voix.
Canadians made their voices heard with a voter turnout rate that hasn't been seen in the last 30 years. Nearly 20 million Canadians voted, and even more of them voted in early voting than ever before.
The engagement of Canadians at rallies, on social media, and around the dinner table was very high. And while different visions were put forth by various contenders, we disagreed agreeably. And the leader of every party quickly and graciously accepted the results. At a time when democracies around the world are under threat, Canadians can be proud that ours remains strong. As I've been clear since day one of my leadership campaign in January, I'm in politics to do big things, not to be something. And now that Canadians have honored me with a mandate to bring about big changes quickly, I will work relentlessly to fulfill that trust. As I stressed on election night, I am committed to working with others, governing as a team in cabinet and caucus, and working constructively across parties in Parliament, working in real partnership with provinces, territories, and Indigenous peoples, and bringing together labor, business, and civil society to advance the nation-building investments that will transform our economy. In the coming weeks, I will unveil more of our plans to engage with Canadians as we embark on the biggest transformation of our economy since the end of the Second World War. This will be an incredibly exciting time as we take control of our economic destiny to create a new Canadian economy that works for everyone. We will begin to set out that new path for Canada with a new cabinet to be sworn in on the week of the 12th of May and the recall of Parliament on May 26th. We will have the privilege of welcoming His Majesty King Charles III, who will deliver Canada's speech from the throne on May 27th. Her Majesty the Queen will join this visit. This is an historic honor which matches the weight of our times. Je sais que beaucoup de Canadiens partagent mon enthousiasme.
I know that many Canadians share my enthusiasm about this.
Today I want to speak to the immediate priorities of my government, beginning with our relationship with the United States. As I've stressed repeatedly, our old relationship, based on steadily increasing integration, is over. The questions now are how our nations will cooperate in the future and where we in Canada will move on. Peu après le début de campagne électorale,
Shortly after the start of the election campaign, I met with President Trump, or I spoke to him. We both agreed.
Canada se rencontrent après l'élection pour trouver des terrains d'entente entre nos deux pays. On Tuesday, I had a very constructive call with President Trump, and we agreed to meet next Tuesday in Washington. Our focus will be on both immediate trade pressures and the broader future economic and security relationship between our two sovereign nations. My government will fight to get the best deal for Canada. We will take all the time necessary, but not more, in order to do so. In parallel, we will strengthen our relationships with reliable trading partners and allies. Canada has what the world needs, and we uphold the values the world respects. Au cours des derniers jours, je me suis entretenu avec le président Macron, le président du Conseil européen d'Acosta, le Premier ministre du Japon, Ishiba, et le secrétaire général des Nations Unies, Guterres. J'ai aussi parlé au président Zelensky, auprès de qui j'ai réaffirmé l'engagement du Canada envers le peuple ukrainien. Dans les semaines et les mois à venir, je saisirai toutes les occasions d'échanger avec nos alliés et partenaires pour bâtir des relations renforcées, fondées sur des valeurs communes. Nous allons faire preuve de leadership à l'international. Nous aurons d'ailleurs l'occasion d'en faire la démonstration en juin, alors que le Canada présidera le sommet de G7. We will reinforce our strength here at home by building an economy that creates jobs, grows incomes, and withstands shocks. Pour y arriver, nous allons bâtir une seule économie canadienne au lieu de 13. D'ici la fête du Canada, mon gouvernement aura contribué à l'atteinte de cet objectif. We will remove federal barriers to internal trade by July 1st to help unleash the full potential of Canada. We will work with provinces, territories, and Indigenous groups to identify projects that are in the national interest, projects that will connect Canada, deepen our ties with the world, and grow our economy for generations. We'll make the Canadian government a catalyst for these projects, not an impediment. And we'll always be guided by our conviction that our economy is only strong when it serves everyone. That means bringing down costs for Canadians and helping them get ahead. So we will put more money in Canadians' pockets with the middle-class tax cut that will take effect by Canada Day, saving two-income families up to $825 a year. We will protect the programs that save families thousands of dollars a year, including pharmacare and $10 a day daycare. We will expand the Canadian Dental Care Plan to 8 million Canadians, saving the average family over $800 per visit. To lower costs for first-time homebuyers, we will cut GST on new homes at or under $1 million, allowing them to save up to $50,000. We will lower the GST on homes between $1 million and $1.5 million. These tax measures will provide immediate relief, but they won't be sufficient to make housing affordable again. For that, we have to build. We will address failures in the housing market head-on, unleashing the power of public-private cooperation at a scale not seen in generations. We will slash development charges in half for all multi-unit housing. That's about $40,000 off the cost of a two-bedroom apartment in Toronto. And we will create an entirely new Canadian housing industry in modular and prefabricated housing using Canadian technology Canadian skilled workers in Canadian lumber. We will build houses faster, at lower costs, with a smaller environmental footprint in construction and greater efficiency once families move in. And to kickstart these efforts, we will create a new entity, Build Canada Homes, and provide $25 billion in financing to private developers. Nous allons construire 2 fois plus de logements par année et créer une toute nouvelle industrie de la construction avec des technologies canadiennes, des travailleurs qualifiés canadiens et du bois canadien. My government will focus on keeping Canada secure as a sovereign nation and Canadians safe in their communities. We'll build a stronger Canadian armed forces to protect Canadians, defend our sovereignty, and support our allies. We'll strengthen our border security with 1,000 more CBSA officers, as well as scores of dog teams, drones, and scanners to fight the traffic of guns and drugs. We'll strengthen Canadian law enforcement by hiring 1,000 more RCMP officers and giving law enforcement more tools to fight crime. We will toughen the criminal code and bail laws for those threatening the safety of Canadians, including making bail harder to get for those charged with stealing cars, with home invasion, human trafficking, and smuggling. Nous allons bâtir la confiance en notre système de justice et nous allons faire de même avec notre système de l'immigration. We will return our immigration to sustainable levels by capping the total number of temporary workers and international students at less than 5% of Canada's population by the end of 2027. It's a sharp drop from the recent high of 7.3%. This will help ease strains on housing, on public infrastructure, and social services. At the same time, we will work to attract the best talent in the world to build our economy. Canada has what everyone wants. We're a confident nation that celebrates our diversity, that believes in and practices free speech, that respects the rule of law, that has a vibrant democracy. We value innovators and builders. We trust science. We protect our immense natural heritage. For Canadians abroad thinking about returning to build their lives in our nation, there's never been a better time to come home. Dans toutes nos actions, nous serons guidés par une nouvelle discipline fiscale. Notre gouvernement va dépenser moins pour que les Canadiens puissent investir plus. Day-to-day government spending, the government's operating budget, has been growing by an unsustainable 9% every year. We will bring that down to 2%, less than half the average nominal growth rate of the economy. We will not cut any transfers to provinces, territories, or individuals. Instead, we'll balance our operating budget over the next 3 years by cutting waste, capping the public service, ending duplicative programs, and deploying technology to boost public sector productivity. We will use scarce taxpayer dollars to catalyze massive private investment. By working together, we can give ourselves far more than the Americans can ever take away. By working together, we can build Canada strong. Pour surmonter les défis auxquels nous faisons face, le Canada doit être uni. Guidé par cette approche, j'ai échangé avec les chefs de l'opposition. J'ai fait part de mon intention de travailler avec eux pour rendre notre gouvernement plus efficace, soutenir nos travailleurs et nos entreprises et remettre notre économie sur la bonne voie. J'ai aussi échangé avec les premiers ministres des provinces et territoires qui sont des partenaires essentiels du gouvernement fédéral. Avec eux, je m'attends à continuer le travail étamé lors de la rencontre des premiers ministres que nous avons tenue avant l'élection, où nous nous sommes étendus pour abattre les barrières qui freinent le commerce interne et la mobilité de la main-d'œuvre. Canadians in the NHL play for a variety of teams passionately against each other. But when they're in a once-in-a-lifetime series such as the Four Nations or the Olympics, those same Canadians come together to win it all. During elections, Canadians play and cheer for different teams. Now that election is over, and we are in a once-in-a-lifetime crisis. It's time together, it's time to come together to put on our Team Canada sweaters and win big. Il est temps d'être unis. Unis, le Canada a accompli des choses difficiles, des choses qui semblaient impossibles. Now is the time for ambition, to be bold, to meet this crisis with an overwhelming positive force that is a united Canada. It's time to build. My government is getting to work to build. Build big, bold, and build now. Thank you very much, and I look forward to your questions.
Thank you very much. We will go to the room for questions. One question, one follow. Because there is a long list, let's try and keep the questions as short as possible. We'll start with Ashley Burke from CBC.
Good morning, Prime Minister. What specifically do you want to get out of your first in-person meeting with President Trump, and will you be focused on trying to get the tariffs lifted?
Thank you for the question. For the first meeting, as I mentioned in my remarks, and the President and I discussed when we had our constructive call, there are two sets of issues. There are the immediate tariffs, both sectoral and so-called reciprocal and fentanyl tariffs, and then there is the broader relationship. So addressing both sets of issues. We'll see how that progress goes. It's important to get engaged immediately, which has always been my intention, has always been his intention, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity for.
Going to break into this press conference because we have some breaking news from NBC4 in California. We're learning that police are investigating a shooting in which at least 3 people have been injured in Inglewood. There's a possibly armed suspect who is barricaded, and it seems like police have cordoned off the area, put a perimeter around this, and it seems like they're in front of Spartan College, as you can see from this. So we're going to take over, or have NBC4 take over the coverage for now as we listen in.
Mayor Butt said the scene is contained at this point, but there is still somebody out there responsible for shooting 2 employees on this campus here. Again, that's fearful for those who perhaps work in the area, and we have no sign of where this person is.
Exactly, and that's they're going to hold this perimeter until all possible information that they've received as to the whereabouts or the direction of this individual, until that command post, that commander decides to pull back on this perimeter, they will do so. But until then, they're going to maintain this perimeter, because if that individual is within this perimeter, they are eventually going to lead to that closing in on that individual. So they want to take all the possible calls from the surrounding businesses. If they saw anybody, if they've got security cameras, please call the local agency, let them know what you've seen. If there's anything on the video cameras, that will assist them in determining when the shots were fired, what direction this individual left, if he left on foot or left in a vehicle.
And right now, Bill, I don't know if you can see our picture as well. We're seeing a lot of officers walk through. This is a picture from News Chopper 4. Give us an idea of what that means for people who were on the campus here, who maybe witnessed or didn't witness what happened. Will they all go through this process?
Oh, definitely. And something like this, everything's going to be shut down. There's obviously not going to be let any people into that perimeter zone. People going out will also be identified and cataloged for later investigation, and obviously asked if they were witness to anything that transpired in that particular area. So yes, and anybody going in is not going to happen. Everybody coming out, they're obviously going to ID people and take every measure possible to indicate that these people are not involved in any way in this situation here.
Yeah, based on your, I'm sorry, Carly, based on your years of experience here, what are some of the biggest challenges here for officers on scene right now?
The biggest obstacle would be the chronological order of the buildings that they're going to search. The commanding, be it the captain or the sergeant or lieutenant on scene, is going to dictate which buildings are going to be searched first. There's going to be a search team. They may do 2 or 3 buildings at a time, but they've got to designate this. So obviously they've set up their perimeter. That's set up. They're possibly going to set up some search teams along with some canine units to assist them with going basically room by room to each one of these buildings to determine any possible hiding place for this potential suspect.
All right, Bill, we're going to put you on hold for just a moment as we continue to look at the picture. I understand we have Mayor Butts back on the line with us. Mayor, are you there?
I'm here.
What is the latest information that you have? Let's start with possible conditions of these 2 women who were shot.
We have, hold on, they're calling me right now. Hold on.
Okay.
Mayor Butts. Yes. Okay. So right now, we have no more information on the status of the victims that were transported and are being treated. The information that I have as of 4 o'clock is there were 2 females. They're believed to have been employees of the school. And right now, they're going room to room, searching and clearing the building to make sure there are no further victims and that the suspect is not on the premises.
So at this point, Mayor Butts, we know of at least 2 people. Are you saying there could possibly be more victims inside of that building?
No, actually what I'm saying, of course there possibly could be, but what we're saying is we have 2 confirmed shooting victims, 2 confirmed that have been transported, and right now we're doing our due diligence to clear the campus and make sure there are no further victims.
Mayor Butts, as I pointed out, you had a long career in law enforcement before you became the mayor of Inglewood. This seems to be a very large police presence. We heard Ileana say that somebody asked for the LAPD to come in to assist Inglewood. Talk us through that, if you will.
Well, when we have something like this, we call in mutual aid because it's a large potential crime scene, and we want to make sure that we get the buildings cleared as soon as possible.
Surrounding businesses here near the college, are they being evacuated? Are they being told to shelter in place? What are they being told?
Basically, they've been informed as to what the situation is. They can make their own decisions. Sheltering in place, we don't feel is necessary at this time. We don't have any information to indicate that the suspect is still in the area.
Are you concerned about traffic? Is there anything going on in Inglewood tonight in terms of concerts or large gatherings?
I mean, we have concerts. I think we have 400 events a year. 4.5 to 5 million people a year. However, the traffic patterns do not go down aviation.
Okay.
All right, Inglewood Mayor James Butts, anything, and I'll pose this to you, anything that perhaps you would like to inform our viewers of at this point that perhaps we haven't covered?
You covered everything. We have a massive police presence there, and we have this investigation is preliminary and ongoing.
You know, I couldn't help but notice as we were looking at this shot, just at the top side of the screen a moment ago, the shot from News Chopper 4, we saw probably 3-4 officers taking off on a run there. We have a ground camera there as well right now. We'll get to that in just a moment. Mayor Butts, how long do you expect this investigation to continue? Well into the evening, I have no doubt.
Absolutely, because you remember this is a pretty large crime scene, so we have to establish what the crime scene is based on the information that we'll receive eventually from the 2 victims and any witnesses, and it'll be a pretty large crime scene probably.
And as you know, a former retired CHP officer that we had just a little while ago said that people inside that building, in fact, will be part of this investigation. They, I can only assume, will remain on scene here, Mayor Butts, with investigators to flush everything out?
Well, we're going to interview everyone that we can to see if there were any witnesses to the crime or if we can establish any indicia of who the suspect is.
Mayor, I know as the mayor now you wouldn't expect to be out there, but as a former law enforcement who spent decades, if I remember, in law, do you expect to be out there this evening?
37 years.
That's
Inglewood
decades.
Police Department, it's the Inglewood Police Department, Santa Monica Police Chief, and I ran counterterrorism at the airport for 5 years. So I will be out there when I get off the phone with you.
You know, Mayor Butts, as we look at some aerial footage that we had earlier from News Chopper 4, this is a multi-story building. Any idea in what portion of this building the shooting took place? An upper floor, lower floor, classroom, office?
I don't have that information right now.
Okay.
Because remember, the victims were transported and they haven't been interviewed as yet.
And you still don't have a condition on those victims?
I do not. I've been doing interviews with you guys, and I will as soon as I get off the phone.
Okay.
All right, so Mayor Butts, we'll go ahead and let you get the updated information perhaps on these victims. We, of course, will bring you back into the fold if you have some new information for us, but we appreciate your time here this afternoon.
Anytime.
All right, so again, as the mayor said here, calling 2 victims, possibly employees of Spartan College. We want to reiterate here to our viewers that this is
Hang on a second. There's a drone in the middle of the shot there, it looked like?
Yes.
You see it?
Absolutely, as those SUVs went by, good catch. But a drone here on scene, the scene of a double shooting. And from what we understand, we don't know the conditions of these victims right now, but of course they will be part of the interview process here to find out exactly what happened.
We do know that they are looking for at least one shooter there. I just saw the police officer pick up that drone. So it makes me wonder if that's how they were sort of monitoring the neighborhood there and checking out to see if there was that suspect. Bill Preciado, are you still with us? Bill, are you with us?
Yeah, not quite sure if he's still with us. Producer?
Do we have a ground crew there? Do we have someone on scene? On the way. We have a ground crew. We should be there shortly. Macy, are you with us? Macy, can you hear us? As you can see, this is all happening real time right now. Macy's trying to set up here on a live shot. There we hear her. Macy Jenkins, what do you have?
Hi there. Hi there. Listen, we're getting an idea of what all of this looks like. Let me paint the scene here. So we have quite a big police presence. The yellow tape has been set up on this side of Aviation Boulevard, and then about 2 blocks down. I'll have my photographer Ali kind of zoom over. Take a look at the building with the flag on it. That appears to be what's right outside of Spartan College, and that's the college that is at the center of this. It's unclear if this shooting was inside or outside, but what we know is that 2 people were shot, and from what we heard about Mayor Butts, from Mayor Butts' interview, we heard that 2 people were shot. We believe it was 2 women, and we believe they were employees. Now, again, this is a college, a small college. About this campus can accommodate about 500 people. And if you'll look, it's very hard to see with all of the police presence, but just beyond the police cars, I would say there's a group of about 20 people standing outside of the street. Now, there is a police car here, and it looked like there was a drone on the ground. Looked like they had been using that to do something there. Again, 2 people shot. Mayor Butts says the condition of those 2 people is unknown. We do know this is about 3 blocks away from LAX. This is a very busy area. There are many car rental places. People are taking those buses that come from the airport, coming to rent a car or drop a car off and then get back to the airport. So this is a very busy area. And then just beyond the college is the post office. That post office is very busy. It's the closest one here to the airport if you're familiar with LAX. Really, it's the street that we're on is now blocked off, and it's just been blocked off. We're lucky to be able to get right in here and give you a close view. We'll give you one more view as there are some police officers that are coming out of this side of Aviation. This is the south side of Aviation, again about 3 blocks from LAX. And you can see still very active, Colleen. I'll send it back to you for now.
Talked about the demeanor of officers here on scene and sort of what that tells us. What are you gathering from what you're seeing on the ground, their demeanor? Is there a sense of urgency? Paint the picture for us.
You know, I would say yes, there's a sense of urgency, but here where we are, it looks like the officers are just trying to keep us contained and keep us back. I'm looking in the distance. You can see that the officers have set up in formation. And, you know, in several times when we see situations like this, there are extra police, excuse me. they're trying to get out of here. There are extra police officers about a block south of me closest to LAX. There were about 25 to 30 police vehicles with their lights on. If you look this way, now that one of the police vehicles has gotten out of the way, you can see that group of people right here. There is a police SUV with its back open, and then you can see some kind of equipment in front of one of those vehicles. It's unclear what that is from this distance, but it looks like, as Mayor Butts said to you all on the phone, the situation is contained, but that person they were talking about that had the weapon, we believe that person was dressed in some kind of security uniform, but because we haven't seen that person, it's unclear what kind of security uniform, if that person actually is employed by the university or if that's some kind of facade, some kind of costume.
All right, Macy, thank you. We want to let people know you're watching the NBC4 News at 5. We are covering this breaking news out of Inglewood right now. As you can see in the background there, heavy police presence in Inglewood after a shooting near the Spartan College campus. That's actually a school for aviation maintenance.
We have Macy Jenkins there on the ground for us, of course, giving us the most recent information. We have heard from Inglewood Mayor James Butts. At least 2 people have been wounded. They've been taken to a hospital, of course, waiting to be interviewed to find out exactly what happened here. As Macy pointed out, the shooter still on the loose here, but the situation, the scene, from what we understand, has been contained.
Macy, are you still with us? Can you give us sort of an idea? Are they starting to police officers starting to pull back? I mean, we heard from the mayor that they had Inglewood police and out there as well as LAPD.
Yes.
We heard that it was a
Colleen,
mutual
I'm taking
aid.
a look right now. Sorry, Colleen. That group of people is moving back towards the college, so it appears that these people might have been inside at the time of the shooting. Some of them are walking more towards the north side of this block here, but as we've been standing here, there have been about 2 or 3 police cars that have left this area, this part of the scene. However, the next block over, this is still very packed, full of black and white police vehicles with their lights on, flashing. The other side of the street, again, blocked off. Many people are going down. I believe that's Manchester. Because this block has been closed off, the traffic is starting to build on the other side. But again, these people have been outside of the building, outside of Spartan College, and it looks like police are speaking to someone on the other side of the building that we can't quite see from where we are standing right here. Again, but also onlookers from the other areas are kind of just trying to figure out what's going on.
You know, you're our eyes and ears there on the ground there, Macy. If you can characterize the scene from the moment you arrived to what you're seeing now, what has changed or what remains the same?
Well, it looks like since we got here, police have shifted because there were many police here as we saw the drones, the drone, what looked like a drone, just behind me. But if you'll look on the other side, I'll have my photographer, Ali Santana, pan this way. Look at that line of police cars. There's also another emergency vehicle at the very end of the block. Again, this is just 2-3 blocks from LAX, so you can hear the planes over on top of us, going over us, excuse me. But there's parking enforcement on the other side of the block, and then 2 blocks to the north of us, again, that scene is blocked off. But right now, I'm looking at all of the people, the onlookers, trying to figure out what's going on. I spoke to one woman. She said she didn't hear any shots, but she had a suitcase, so she was likely coming from the car rental location. You have many people who work at the car rental locations. There's Enterprise, National Alamo. They're outside. They're trying to figure out what's been going on because you see so many police. I mean, I'm looking at, just from what I can see, at least 15 police cars with their lights going, and that does not include the 20 or so police cars that are to the south side on the LAX side of Aviation Boulevard.
Macy, does it look as if any of these people standing outside near the campus are being interviewed or questioned by officers right now?
It does look like some of them are being questioned. I do see a group of people on their phones, but it looks like about 3 or 4 people are speaking to officers just beyond that walkway sign. If you can see the yellow sign there, there's a car and there are several officers over there just in front of the caution tape. So it's unclear what kinds of conversations they're having, if they're asking them what they saw, if they're asking them if they know of anything that happened inside or outside. Again, it's unclear where that shooting happened, if it was in or outside of Spartan College. But I would assume that these people were inside of the building or near the building because they're just standing waiting for, it looks like, more direction.
It looks as if, Macy, they're headed in your direction. Any chance that perhaps you could speak to somebody?
Possibly. I know we still have about almost an entire block between us and the yellow tape and those people. So we'll see if we can try to flag one of them down.
Macy, does it appear anybody is leaving the area?
Not right now. I'm looking over to my left. You can see the car rental locations. Looks like people who possibly work there. They're just kind of standing by. They were directing one of the buses that brings people from the airport, just standing by. And then on the other side, looks like maybe a detective or two. It's hard to tell, but possibly some employees. They're behind the yellow tape. They're stagnant. They're staying where they are. The only people who have left so far are those 2 or 3 police vehicles that were beyond the yellow tape, and the officers that were with them, they left as well. So it looks like they went more toward the south end, which is where I talked about that line of 20 to about 15 to 20 police vehicles just kind of waiting in formation lined up, I guess ready to tackle anything they may need to tackle.
And Macy, you're standing on Aviation, correct?
I am. We're standing in the middle of the street. It is blocked off, so it's a safe area for us to be. And we're again about a block away from Spartan College, as close as we can get, Colleen.
Yeah, you can't help, Macy, but hear the jets fly over again. But we have heard from the mayor, though,
right.
Operations at LAX not being affected right now because of what is happening. Proximity from where you are to the airport, you said a couple of blocks, perhaps?
About 2 or 3 blocks. I mean, maybe 4 because of where we are. I'm trying to look, and you know, when you see the this is the Enterprise and National parking lot where all of the buses are, where they transport people back and forth. So there's that, and there's another parking lot. I can't see LAX, but because I've known this area and grown up here, I know that I'll say about 4 blocks away from LAX.
You know, I'm curious about the officers behind you. We see the squad cars. We see a few of the people standing. Did somebody just walk up to you?
Yeah, Colleen, we've got someone coming over from Spartan College. Let's see, can you give us a little idea of what's going on? Sir, what's your name?
Yes, my name is Jawad Alamad.
Okay, Jawad.
Yes.
And who are you with? You're with the college.
Actually, I'm an instructor right here on Spartan College of Aeronautics, and yes.
Tell us what you saw and what you heard.
Well, today was an instructor appreciation day, so I went by a security guard. His name was Jesse, and I said, "Man, you look so serious. Smile, you know, it could be worse. Yeah. Smile, take it easy." And he just looked at me, and I kept going, and went to the room, and we had some good food. And while we were eating, the 2 girls that were shot, they were talking to me, but normally, casually, just chilling and talking. And so I went back to my room, started eating with the instructors over there, and while I was eating, I heard some gunshots.
In the same room?
No, actually, it was about 3, 4 down, rooms down the way by the hallway, and we didn't know what's going on. I thought it was outside, so we just kept, sitting over there, and all of a sudden the dean came to us, say, "Hey, turn the lights off and close the doors and everything."
So the shots came from outside?
No, it's actually, we thought it was come from outside, but in reality it was from inside.
What is going through your mind? What was going through your mind at that time when you heard those shots go off?
I was shocked. I was just livid. I couldn't believe what I heard, in school. And plus the security guard is my friend over there. I talk to him all the time. We chill and this, but What he has in mind, I have no idea. I cannot speak to exactly what happened. I don't know the details between him and the two girls who were shot. And
yes.
It's just so sad. It's just, I'm still in shock. I really cannot put it in words right now.
So you know those two women? They're colleagues of yours?
They're colleagues. I was just chilling with them and joking, actually, a minute ago. You know, and I just went down there and boom, that's what I heard.
What have police told you now? And what are you all doing outside? Are they interviewing you?
Well, the police put us on the side for the people who work in that building, and they said they're going to question us and take our statements. So I'm willing to, help out whatever it takes to achieve justice if we can. I don't know, we can.
Tell me about the people who are outside. Are these students of yours?
Some of them are my students, that I taught before in previous classes. Some I don't know because the students come at 5:30 basically. So one of my students came early. I was going to give her exam and some quizzes because she missed yesterday the whole thing. So I just try to catch up. That's what it is. So she came early, and the day she came early, and that's what happened.
Right.
So it's really sad.
What an ordeal. Well, thank you for coming over and speaking with us. What have police told you to do now? Did they tell you to stick around?
Yeah, we're going to stick around, give our statements, and see what happens, yeah, just wish for the best, that's all.
Thank you so much for talking to us. Again, an instructor at Spartan. We're live on NBC4 right now, our 5 o'clock show. Again, thank you for talking to us. We're wishing you the best.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Sorry you had to experience that.
Okay.
Macy?
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Macy, can you hold him for just a second?
Yes.
We have a couple of questions. Can you bring him back?
Can you come back for one moment? We actually have a few more questions for you, sir. Sorry about that. So we've got a question from our anchors here. Go ahead, guys.
So we're a little confused. He said he knew the two women who were shot, but he made reference to the security guard. In what context here?
Describe how you know that security guard. You've known him for a while? Does he work there?
Yeah, he works there, maybe 5 days a week, and I just go outside sometimes, take a break, and just sit with him and talk, joke, just kill some time, I know him for over a year.
And what's his typical demeanor?
To be honest with you, I don't find him the brightest person, to be honest with you, and I see that he has some issues, but I'm not a psychiatrist to identify what problem he has, but he had some problems in his life. He had some problems.
So you're thinking maybe this led up to that?
It could be. I don't know.
Okay.
I can't tell. It could be.
Macy, really quickly, can he describe to us
Michael?
what capacity these two women, were they employees? What roles did they play at the school? Were they instructors? Were they clerical, administrative? What can he tell us?
Give us an idea of the two women that you know. What kind of roles did they play at the university? What did they do?
These are the sweetest women that we have. They're very helpful. They're always there when you need them. And they come and, to my class sometimes, give some instruction to the students. They're very active and just, have a good personality, really. I've never seen any bad thing from either one of them at all.
And what are their positions at the school?
I don't exactly know the positions, but they're in the administration to help the students.
Okay.
I don't know exactly the position. But one of them was probably a receptionist, but she does a lot more than that.
I see. I see. So many people know these women. They see them.
Yeah, they're just the sweetest women. They're very sweet, down to earth.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Macy, I want to
know their status. Go ahead, Colleen.
I just want to be really clear about something, and that is the security guard here. What was his involvement, according to the professor there?
Well, I believe the professor, and correct me if I'm wrong, but you were saying that you saw the security guard acting strangely, not seeming himself, seeming down, and you believe this is the person who fired the shots, but you're not sure?
That's correct. Yeah, the person, everybody's saying that Jesse did this. So I didn't see exactly what he was shooting, but he's not there, and somebody said he ran away with his car, so they're looking for him. I see 3 helicopters up there. Yeah, so.
So it seems, Colleen, this is something we'll have to confirm with police officers to see exactly who this shooter was, if it was in fact that security guard that he is referencing.
Yes.
Yeah.
There was
Thank
just
you
a
so
little
much.
confusion.
We appreciate your time, sir.
We were trying to determine
Thank
whether
you.
he was saying the security guard was the shooter, or perhaps he was defending the women from the shooter. There was some confusion on that, and we wanted him to clear it up.
Yes, I think he was saying that the security guard was the shooter, but again, that's something we'd have to confirm with police. We do know that the shooter was wearing some kind of security outfit, security uniform, so that professor could in fact be correct, but again, something to clarify with police.
Yeah, and of course, Joette had said something about it was sort of some type of appreciation day going on, some type of luncheon. He had a conversation with the two women. He heard the gunshots about 3 or 4 rooms away. He initially thought the shots came from outside, but in fact they came from indoors in a classroom or perhaps another building or office, I should say, 3 or 4 rooms down.
He said the dean came in. That's how he knew there was something going on. The dean actually came in, said, turn off the lights, close the door, and that's when he realized that that shooting was closer than he thought. It was inside on the campus there.
Yeah, he believes that the 2 victims in this case worked in some type of clerical or administration roles here, always helping students, as he's put it. They were just chilling before all of this happened. And of course, then we hear about the shooting of these 2 women here at Spartan College in the city of Inglewood.
Once again, we want to let you know, if you're just joining us, this is a live picture from the scene there. You see a large police presence in the city of Inglewood right now. This is at Spartan College. It's as you pointed out, Michael, kind of a trade school. Yeah. It's a place that deals in aviation maintenance. We just heard from a professor there. You see they've detained a lot of people who are in the building, and they're going to question them and go through that campus room by room, looking for perhaps the shooter here. Yeah. And they do believe it's one shooter.
The one shooter. And, you know, during that interview with Macy, that was from an instructor, and he says that he is amongst, or was amongst, those folks that we saw there in the shot just a second ago. A lot of students here, some who work at the college as well, being questioned by police, perhaps witnesses, people who saw something perhaps or heard something. We don't know what precipitated the shooting as well. That was something we didn't get from him. But he actually heard the gunshots about 3 or 4 rooms from where he was. As I mentioned before, some type of appreciation luncheon was happening. And as Colleen mentioned here, when the dean came in and basically said, something's going down, you all shelter in place for the most part.
We have Eric Leonard with us. Initially, our investigative reporter, Eric Leonard. Initially, this came in as possible active shooter here. This is a college campus. Eric, what can you add to this?
Hi, Colleen and Michael. I just wanted to pop on here to add to what we had heard out at the scene from, I think it was somebody who was working at the college. I'm juggling phone calls and messages here. We have some information from some other law enforcement agencies, so not from Inglewood Police directly, but from other agencies that were notified that, in fact, they were told that the person wanted in this shooting was a security guard. His name has been provided to other law enforcement agencies. I'm not going to share it here, as well as a description and license plate of his car. So that information is being circulated to other law enforcement agencies in the South Bay area, in West Los Angeles right now. So that would certainly make it appear that there is an ongoing search for this individual, and the law enforcement folks at the scene there are somewhat have somewhat confirmed that whoever it is that they're looking for, it sounds very much like it's going to be the security guard, is no longer there at the scene. And now the search may be expanding into some other areas. And once again, they have provided a name, a description, a car, a license plate to other local law enforcement agencies. So this all seems to pretty much match up with what we were hearing there at the scene.
Eric, any information from your sources on what perhaps came before the shooting? Again, this is all preliminary, but again, you're pretty well connected.
Not just yet. You know, in these kinds of emergency responses where you have a very wide-ranging help call that goes out to other agencies and all the local police departments, the priority is the initial response into trying to figure out if there's somebody responsible for this who's still a danger, who's still there. That's where all of the resources have been pulled in, and it usually takes some period of time before that initial phase, the life-saving phase, begins to transition into the investigative phase. Obviously, those two things do happen simultaneously to some degree, but with so much focus on the immediate search of that immediate area, sometimes it takes a little time for the investigative side of things to get out to us. So the best information we have right now is that there's this ongoing search. As far as the circumstances of this original incident of violence, we're still working to piece that together with some of our contacts.
Eric, would they put out some sort of notice? You mentioned they're searching the South Bay and West LA. Would there be some sort of notice that goes out to all agencies now with this description and everything else?
Right. This is not like an email that's only sent to certain people. This goes out to everybody in local law enforcement. The focus of attention is in the area surrounding where this happened. So every local law enforcement agency should be getting this detailed information. Again, a name, description, car description, and a car license plate. That's definitely who they're looking for right now, and it seems to match up with what we were hearing from the scene.
With this mutual aid situation, with all this information now being dispensed to other agencies, walk us through what this investigation will look like moving forward, Eric.
Well, it depends on the circumstances of what this turns out to be. If it is a somewhat narrow act of violence that happened in one place involving a handful of people, generally that's the sort of investigation that would be handled by a single police agency, and in this case it's in the city of Inglewood. It's going to be the Inglewood Police Department. They have a pretty large detective squad. They have homicide detectives. That's kind of where this is sounding like it's going. Certainly the more complicated cases get sometimes smaller police departments, and Inglewood is a mid-sized police department, but they'll ask for help not just in a search or in this life-saving effort, but then also on the investigative side. Oftentimes the LA County Sheriff's Department will lend assistance, and then all of those police agencies in the South Bay have a unique mutual aid situation. That would be Inglewood and Manhattan Beach and the agencies just to the south there, I think all the way down to Torrance. They share a radio system. They share people. Some of these agencies aren't really big enough to have their own SWAT team, for example, so sometimes the agencies will each contribute a few officers, and then they're able to have a local specialized response team when the single police department couldn't have handled it or couldn't afford to have that on their own. Same goes for police search dogs. They often trade back and forth. They have one on shift in Manhattan Beach, and that dog will then cover all of the other areas. So these departments are very used to working together, working with one another, and if there was anything that Inglewood couldn't deliver on its own, probably the initial call would go out to those South Bay agencies, and then beyond that, possibly the LA County Sheriff's Department. But again, the call has gone out to other agencies that they are searching for this one individual. That also, I don't want to say makes this a less hazardous situation, but it takes some of the mystery out of it. At first, nobody knows what's happening. They know somebody committed an act of violence and they're out there. Now this is a much more focused search, and generally those produce results much more quickly.
And of course, as you mentioned, they have a description. They have a description of him, his car, the plate, everything. Yeah. Eric Leonard, thank you for that.
You got it.
All right, we want to get up to Jonathan Gonzalez. He just arrived on scene. And Jonathan, what do you got for us?
Yeah, you know, Michael, Colleen, we're here on the north side of the school here at Manchester and Aviation, a very tense situation here. I'm here with people who either have children who go to this school or they're affiliated with people in the school. I want to bring in Jacqueline, who I've been talking with her over the last few minutes since I arrived here on scene. And Jacqueline, I understand that your boyfriend works at this school. Tell us a little bit about what you've been getting from him. I know he's been sending you some clips about the lockdown.
Yes, he sent me clips of him first. It seems like people were trying to evacuate, then clips of him looked like he was hiding in his office, and then clips of him finally, I think they were taken out by the police, escorted out by the police, but he was very shaken up and very scared.
What was he able to tell you about what took place here earlier this afternoon?
He says that 2 individuals were shot. One, he's in the office next to the front desk person, and he says that that person was a victim, and then there was another person that I think walked into the hallway and got shot.
So you were working down the street. I know you were a teacher yourself. This has to be every teacher's worst nightmare, a shooting at a school.
Yeah.
When you got the news, what was that like? And then you rushed right over here.
Yes, no, definitely very scary. As a teacher, we're trained all the time, and our students are trained all the time for these type of situations, and hopefully we're never involved in anything like this, but he was definitely scared. So he, you know, I don't think they've had any training. He's new to working for the school, and so he definitely was very shook up. So I was just giving him advice that he needed to hide and just be out of sight. Yeah.
And as of right now, what is he telling you? They're just stuck in the place where they're at right now?
Yes, they're stuck, and I guess the police are getting their statements, and they can't leave until they get their statements.
How are you feeling right now?
I'm a little shaky. I'm just glad he's okay, but I did talk to him on the phone, and I know he was very, very shaken up, and so I wish I could just take him home with me right now, but he's okay. He's okay, and that's the good thing.
And you're going to stay here as long as it takes?
I'm going to stay a little bit longer, and then we'll see, but we don't live too far away, so we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Jacqueline, thank you. I hope that everything turns out okay. And thank you for speaking with us. Again, a very tense situation here, guys. Not a lot of information right now. To Eric's point, we have seen different agencies showing up. LAPD, I did see the LA County Fire Department arriving here as well. We are, quite a bit of distance away. I don't know if, as Sean, our photographer, shoots closer to the scene, you can see that green light now turning yellow. That's approximately where that school is at. There are actually several different types of trade schools here in the area. I spoke to another woman earlier off camera who told me that she attends a music trade school, a sound engineering trade school here in the area. That she was coming to class and stumbled right into this situation, this scene here that is still unfolding as we speak. So we're going to try to get more information for you from authorities here on the scene, but from the other people I've spoken with off camera, again, very similar to what Jacqueline was saying, they're really worried about their loved ones in there. They want to make sure that they're okay. They are in communication. That is the good news, but no word yet still on when this situation is going to end. So we're going to continue to stay here on the north side of this as another plane gets set to land here at LAX. For now, we'll send everything back to you guys.
Jonathan, I'm not sure if you can hear me through the plane noise there, but what does it appear that the police are doing at this point? They're not searching, right?
So honestly, Colleen, it's quite a distance. I mean, Sean would have a better vantage point with his camera, just because we're a good quarter mile to half mile away from where this is all taking place. So it's tough to see what the officers inside the scene are doing as we speak in terms of a search or whatnot. We don't see any chopper activity. That is interesting to note, but that's probably because we're right in the flight path of LAX. So it's unclear exactly what the officers there on the ground are doing as we speak. Over here where we are, there's really just traffic patrol, not a lot of officers here on the ground. Most of them are inside the scene, but the officer right closest to us is an LAPD officer, so we are seeing that kind of mutual aid in effect right now. Tons of vehicles, police patrol vehicles down the street from us. Unfortunately, we're just that distance enough where it's really tough to get a sense of what is happening closer to the scene. They're keeping us quite a ways back right now, but in terms of posture, I don't know if you have a better vantage point right now from what you're seeing from Sean's camera, but we hope that this all wraps up soon. There's just no word on when officers are going to give us yet another update.
All right, Jonathan Gonzalez live there for us in Inglewood, and we want to remind you folks, it's 5:30 and we continue to follow this breaking news out of Inglewood. As we've been telling you, 2 women were shot here on the campus of Spartan College of Aeronautics and Technology. The search for the gunman continues.
And we also want to give you an idea of exactly where this is happening. It's in Inglewood. This is a map of where it's unfolding. Aviation Boulevard, this is actually between the Airport Boulevard or Aviation Boulevard and Arbor Vitae. You can see it's not far from the freeway, and as we've heard, they're maybe less than a mile away from the airport as well. We do know that 2 women were shot. They may have worked in the front office doing some sort of clerical work. They were shot. We spoke with a gentleman who said he'd been talking to them just a few minutes earlier. There was some sort of appreciation luncheon going on. They had just left the room. He had spoken to them, and he heard the gunshots and wasn't quite clear to begin with where they were coming from.
Yeah, he says that Initially, he thought those shots are coming from outside, but he realized there were about 3 or 4 rooms down from where he was, where that celebration was taking place. We have our investigative reporter, Eric Leonard, who gave us some information as well. This has become a mutual aid situation. They have a description of the person they're looking for, a license plate as well, description of the car, and we believe at this point, according to sources, the security guard on campus here is responsible for this shooting.
That is the person of interest they are looking for. They are searching the South Bay, they're searching West LA, but as you pointed out, Michael, they've sent out this mutual aid to other agencies in the area. Macy Jenkins is live on scene for us. She was the first reporter to arrive there. Let's go to her right now for the latest. Macy?
Hi, Michael and Colleen. Well, I've been trying to track some people down to see if we can get any other perspective on what has happened. I briefly spoke to someone who works at one of the car dealerships over here. And actually, let me pause for a moment because you can see a little bit of a shift right now. Some of the people are walking across the street. Looks like there are officers actually close to, just behind those police cars, speaking with some of the people who work at Alamo and National and Enterprise. I briefly spoke with one of those people. He says he did not hear any of the shots and none of the employees heard because they were across the street and inside at the time. They didn't want to speak too long to us because I believe police, and we'll walk over there now, police are trying to interview them and just kind of get as much detail as they can. Now it looks like that group is going into the car dealership, out of our view right now. But what they did tell me is the Enterprise and the National, I believe, dealerships, or excuse me, car rental locations are still open. So even though this is in that bus route, that route where someone would get on the bus and come from the airport to pick up a rental car or drop off a rental car, they're still open for business. There's still people with their suitcases who are coming over here. And let's take another look over here. Okay, and we can see, it looks like there's someone coming out of there. Let's see if we can grab her and get any information. Excuse me, miss, can you talk to us about what you've seen?
I haven't seen anything.
Did you hear anything? Are you coming from the dealership?
I just got here.
You did. Are you picking up a car or anything?
Oh, my car, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Do you hear any of the shots?
No, I didn't.
You didn't. Okay, okay. It's, you know, the life of a reporter. We try to gather as much detail as we can. But again, police are continuing to interview people. Like we saw a few moments ago, that group of people went behind the green bushes that you see there. And there are many employees from National and Enterprise just kind of standing over there. But again, they told me they are still open because people are still flying. And as you all said, operations are still as normal at LAX. So we are about 4 blocks away from LAX, and that means that things have to keep going as normal. We'll just try to make sure we can keep control of the situation here, but I'll send it back to you guys. That's the very latest.
All right, to Macy Jenkins live for us there. She says 3 to 4 blocks, but I think of a Las Vegas block when we talk about blocks here.
Yes, yeah.
In terms of proximity from where Macy is to the airport, about a mile in distance here. So, again, just wanted to give some more perspective there.
Macy, as you swing around there, how many people does it look like they will be interviewing? Is that about a dozen or so there?
You know, Colleen, I counted, it looked like about 25 people, but if we'll walk over this way, it looks like about a handful right now who are left. So that's about 7 or 8 people still on the left side of your screen. But it looked like a group of about 15 or 20 people that went behind the bushes that we could see officers going over into what looks like one of those car rental places to speak with, to interview, to get their perspective on what happened earlier today.
And those people we just saw walking behind you, are they from the car rental place, perhaps leaving the area? Do we know if they were in the college at all? Could you tell?
So those people that you saw in the group, they have been standing over for about 30, 45 minutes on the left side of the street. So I can only assume those are people who were in the college or around the college. I would imagine that people who were in the car rental locations at that time, it wouldn't make sense for them to go and stand across the street on the other side since nothing happened in the car rental. So I believe those are people who are from the college, people who police might want to gather information from, get interviews, get their perspective on what happened inside of the college.
Yeah, we heard from Jonathan not too long ago, spoke to a woman named Jacqueline. Her boyfriend is actually an employee there. He was, I should say, hiding in an office, described what he was feeling, shaken up and scared, says that the two people were shot in the office next to the front office where he was.
We are just getting an update. Macy, we're going to stay with your picture here. We're just getting an update from LA County Fire. We do know that 2 women were shot inside the school there. 2 women transported. They are listed in critical condition with gunshot injuries. They were apparently taken to Long Beach Memorial Hospital. That's the latest we have. We've been asking about their condition since we first learned about this. This happened just after 4 o'clock this afternoon.
Yeah, one of the folks shot, according to a witness there on the scene, in the office next to the front office, and someone who was out in the hallway, again, was shot as well. We are now getting this as well. Inglewood police to tell us the suspect appears to be a security guard, worked there for 5 years, and this, of course, confirms what we've heard from our investigative reporter, Eric Leonard.
It absolutely does. The first gentleman we interviewed, or Macy interviewed, in fact, who is an instructor at the school, said he spoke to the security guard when he came in today. Then he was in some sort of big room for what did he call it? Some sort of appreciation day or a luncheon or something like that. He had just spoken to these 2 women. He described them as office workers up front, may have been doing some sort of clerical work for the school. He heard the shots. And initially, everybody thought it happened outside, but he heard the shots. And then the dean came by and said there was a shooter, told everybody to turn off the lights, block the door, and hide.
And again, as time continues to click on here, again, the investigation continues. We've heard from Eric Leonard that this has now become a mutual aid situation. A description of the person of interest at this point, the license plate and the getaway car, all being dispensed to agencies across Southern California here right now. So at this point, Colleen, police know who they're looking for.
As Eric mentioned, and I think he put it so perfectly here, with the description, with the license plate on the car, and the description of this suspect here, it really takes the mystery out of everything. They do know he left in his car. What I haven't been able to determine, and I think this is more of a question for Eric Leonard, was there a gun at the scene? Was anything found there? Do they believe he is still armed?
Again, we know at this point that the scene is contained, and we talk about demeanor and body language of officers on scene, and we heard early on from Eliana on News Chopper 4 that it didn't, I don't want to use the word relax, but didn't seem as urgent as perhaps as we might expect, possibly because of all the information that they were able to ascertain early on in this investigation. Now they know who they're looking for. What's
also curious about this is that you see a handful of people, I'll describe them as, 8 to 12 maybe people standing outside of the campus there, when we've heard there were a lot of people on campus when this went down. Have they narrowed it down? Did they release other people? Have they left? So it's kind of curious to me that we're only seeing this small group waiting to be interviewed by police.
We heard from one of the instructors there at Spartan College. He, in fact, had a student come in early to take an exam, for example, to catch up. So there were people on campus. As we've mentioned earlier, there was some type of appreciation day happening on that campus. The 2 women, the 2 victims were involved in that appreciation day as well. They work in the administration portion of this college. And again, at this point, the person of interest, the person who police are looking for, is a security guard who's been employed here at that college for the last 5 years.
Now, if you're looking at the neighborhood as well, you see it's more of an industrial area. You see the post office there, a very large post office. This college, Spartan College, is actually an aviation maintenance college. I'm not sure what the courses are, but aviation maintenance sort of says it all. But we've talked to at least one professor there, a woman who said her boyfriend was in the front office as well, or very close to where the shots were fired. She was getting clips from him of what to do. She said she is a teacher. She's been trained in active shooter. Initially, they didn't know what was going on. They just heard gunshots. So she was coaching him and telling him exactly what to do. She was getting clips on her phone from the boyfriend, and she was telling him to hide, take shelter in his office, disappear, I think is the word she used.
Possibly the training that she has received being a school teacher herself, as she mentioned to Jonathan Gonzalez. At this point, we want to, again, we're giving you live shots of the scene right now in Inglewood from News Chopper 4. And we, again, want to tell you 2 women have been shot. Their conditions at this point critical, been transferred to a local hospital. Do we have Jonathan Gonzalez here with us at all?
Yeah, if Jonathan Gonzalez is still out there, we want to remind you.
Together.
Yeah.
Okay, we are too.
That they are looking for one suspect. They believe the shooter was perhaps the security guard at the college there. Jonathan, I hear you talking to someone.
2 female Hispanic victims.
Mayor Butts, I thought I recognized the voice
inside the school. We believe that it's a workplace violence related incident. The suspect, a male Hispanic. 1 victim is in critical condition. The other is in stable condition.
What do we know about the suspect?
That's all we know, is that he was potentially a former employee, and that it may be a workplace violence incident.
Do we know if this person, this former employee, was a teacher, was somebody that worked in the building?
I don't have the information right now.
And excuse my ignorance, but I see a lot of cars leaving. Is this over? Or?
Well, when you say is it over, we're releasing people to leave the area because we had the place on lockdown. And so you're seeing people that couldn't leave the campus right now.
Is the suspect is still on the run?
The suspect is still at large.
Still on the run, or is he in the building?
No, we have no reason to believe he is still here.
What can you tell me about the students that were on campus? Are they still there? Are they being let go now?
We've been conducting interviews. We did a room-to-room search of the campus to make sure there are no further victims, that there's no suspect or suspect still at large. And now we're in investigative mode, and we've been taking interviews. As you can see now, people are being released.
What information do you have for anyone affiliated with the school? We've talked to several people who have children at the school. We have people who have relatives or loved ones at the school. What information do you have for them at this point?
Right now, the area is safe, has been safe since shortly after the shooting. There's no further suspects, and right now we're going to try and take that person that we believe is responsible into custody.
Okay, and then are people still trapped in there? I mean, they were locked in for a while.
No, they were never trapped in there. They were secured and sheltering in place while the investigation was continuing as we continued the search of the buildings.
You mentioned there's a workplace violence. Was the shooting targeted, the 2 people who were shot?
Well, we're only making that assumption because they were employees, and the suspect is believed to have been an employee. So that's an assumption that we're making right now.
Major Butts, when you say you're going to take this person, who you believe is responsible for this, where is he or she, and what's going to happen right now?
Well, right now we're following leads as to the person that we believe is a person of interest, and we're going to try and make contact with that person.
But he's been located, or he's still on the run?
I wouldn't want to talk about that right now. I don't want to talk about that right now.
And to be clear, he's still an employee or a former employee?
The information I have is it was a former employee.
But you guys don't have him in custody yet?
He's not in custody at this time.
So it's safe to see he's in the run?
I mean, he's at large right now.
Any idea where he can be? Is he in the perimeter?
He's not in this perimeter, and I don't want to talk anymore right now about that.
I understand, but we have a lot of questions. Number one is, if we know that he was a former employee, do we know where he lives? Do we know what he used to do? Do we know where to locate him?
Right now, this is an active investigation, and that's not the information we're going to put out the air right now.
Jim, do we have anything in the way of vehicle description, license plate, anything else where
we don't have any further information about the suspect that we're going to discuss right now. We would rather take him into custody, and we don't want to conduct an investigation on the airwaves.
Is there anything that the audience, the public in English, Spanish, or any language do to help you to identify him? Anything you want to do?
Well, we believe that we have someone identified, and so if we get to the point where we can't take him into custody, we'll put that information out.
Very much, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Mr.
All right, Colleen, Michael, I mean, you all heard it just there from Mayor Butts, who's been giving us information since this shooting broke out within the last several hours, saying that the person of interest in this is someone who is known to police at this point. They believe they know who is responsible for this shooting and that person is still on the run, that the school is no longer on lockdown. We definitely saw police vehicles and fire vehicles leaving within just the last few minutes. There's still a lot of vehicles, though, still here on scene, but that people who are in the school on lockdown are now able to leave the school, that this person is no longer believed to be on campus, but that they do have a person of interest. They believe they know who they're looking for. And as for the victims, one is stable, did not give a condition. The other one is in critical condition following that shooting earlier this afternoon. So we heard it there directly from Mayor Butts, and we expect that he'll give us an update as soon, as there is one, and hopefully that update comes with an arrest. Colleen, Michael.
Yeah, we also heard from the mayor there, Jonathan, that he's describing this as a former employee who is not in the perimeter and wouldn't give any further information about the person of interest here that they at least choose to talk about right now.
What's interesting is the instructor we first talked with Macy Jenkins, described him as somebody he worked with. He never said anything about him being a former employee. Right. He, as Macy said, may have been dressed in a security garb coming to work today. But interesting that the mayor called it workplace violence, and people were told to shelter in place. Once again, one person critical, one stable. They were both taken to Long Beach Memorial. I believe we have Ileana Moreno over the scene. Ileana, Jonathan talked about fewer police officers out there right now, that they seem to be leaving the scene. Can you compare that to when we last spoke with you a while ago?
Yeah, Colleen, we left to get some fuel in News Chopper 4, and when we came back, I was able to see a drastic difference in the number of patrol units that were on Aviation Boulevard, which is the street that I'm showing you here that runs on the east side of Spartan College. When we were overhead earlier, when this first broke out, the whole street was just lined with officers from multiple departments, including Culver City, Redondo Beach, LAPD. But of course, the main agency on this one is going to be Inglewood Police, as we are in the city of Inglewood. Because they are encrypted, which means I can't hear their conversations on the scanner. We're not getting too much information directly from them, but of course we're piecing everything together, thanks in part to what Mayor Butts is informing us. And of course we know that at least 2 people have been injured as a result of the shooting. But what we can just see from the police presence out here is that it seems to have scaled back, and it's a little bit more relaxed. Of course, at this point, we don't believe that suspect is yet in custody, so things aren't completely resolved. But just as I watch the demeanor of the officers, it does look that they're just a little bit more relaxed in their posture, letting me know that at least at this point, they don't believe that the man is in the immediate area.
Yeah, and that's what the mayor really wanted to emphasize here. He talked about the room-to-room search of the building. There are no other victims. Again, pointing out yet again, Eliana, that they don't believe that this person of interest is in the perimeter. And I believe he said that early on.
Yeah, he did, and that was great news for the people in the area, because initially, when we first got word of this, it was reported as an active shooter, which is always extremely nerve-wracking to think that somebody could be actively still firing upon people at the school. But again, when we arrived overhead, the damage had been done. Those 2 people had already been wounded, and the suspect had likely already left the area. We were able to gather off of some of the scanner frequencies from some of the other departments a rough description of what this person looks like and his vehicle, but we're not going to share that yet because, of course, we want to get all of that officially confirmed before we relay that information to our viewers. But there is a description out there for the suspect, for his vehicle. They have the license plate, so that is huge. We talk about license plates all the time during police pursuits, and how officers are able to run those plates and get back that registration information to know where the vehicle is registered to, which tells them likely where that person lives. So in these types of situations, they will likely send officers to that residence. Now, what are the chances the guy is going to go back home? They're probably pretty slim. But thanks to license plate readers on vehicles and on traffic lights, it's only a matter of time before officers are able to find that vehicle.
Ileana, what about traffic in the area? I know we're talking about Aviation Boulevard there, but the proximity to the airport, how close is the freeway here? What's it doing to traffic?
Yeah, let me widen out, Colleen, so I can show the big picture. That's LAX there. It's a hazy day, so pardon the shot, but that's LAX there, which is about a mile to the south of the incident. And as I move the shot to the east, that is where we're going to see the 405 freeway. For a Friday afternoon, evening, the 405 actually looks really nice here through the area. So at this point, the freeway itself isn't going to be impacted, but it's going to be Aviation Boulevard, of course, that is going to be the most impacted due to that closure, which essentially is from Manchester to the north and Arbor Vitae to the south. So some of the neighboring north-south streets are going to be what's going to be most heavily impacted as people look for a way around Aviation Boulevard. Again, at this point, we don't believe it's going to affect anything at the airport, but the one thing we have mentioned before is that we've got these rental car lots, the return lots for Enterprise. I think it's also National and Alamo. They're all here right off of Aviation, but at this point it does appear that people are being able to return their vehicles. But what a scene. I'm sure a lot of people weren't expecting to see this right outside their door.
Yeah, certainly not. So again, is from what we see from your shot here, Eliana. Yeah, please.
Sorry, Michael, we are getting some information here from one of the police ships. They might have a possible sighting of this guy elsewhere in the LA area, but we're only about 6 miles away from there. So with the permission of our desk here and our booth, we're actually going to start heading that way just in case that is, in fact, the suspect and he's being taken into custody.
All right, so Eliana Moreno getting some new information on a possible sighting of who police are looking for. Some new information here from the mayor, as we heard from the interview he did with Jonathan, that he said that this was a former employee, called it a workplace violence incident. But from the instructor on scene, it appeared, Colleen, as if that instructor at Spartan College had spoken to a security guard.
Called him by name.
Called him by name,
Called him by name, said he was dressed like a security guard. It gave us no indication that he might have been a former employee there. But the other information that we had from the mayor today was that the 2 women who were shot, one of them is still listed in critical condition, but the other is now listed in stable condition. They were both taken to Long Beach Memorial Hospital. This happened about 4 o'clock this afternoon, according to the mayor. And once again, they have identified the alleged shooter here.
Yeah, but in order to get to the place that we are now, there was a lot that happened before. I mean, they searched this building room by room. We heard from the mayor not too long ago that there were no other victims. People who were on lockdown within that building have since been released. He has deemed the area safe, no further suspects. And as we've been telling you, police believe they know who they're looking for. And as Eliana just mentioned, in fact, they may have located that person.
Imagine the call that went out. This came in as a possible active shooter on a college campus. This is a college on Aviation Boulevard here, deals with aviation maintenance. As many as 500 students might be in there at one point in time. We didn't see that many people out there today. They were having some sort of appreciation day, according to the instructor that we talked to initially. And so a lot of people were in one big room. The first they knew that something was wrong, they heard shots outside, they thought.
Yeah.
Then the dean came by, told them to turn off the lights, basically to shelter in place, close the door, and disappear.
Yeah, those shots that they thought they heard outside were, in fact, within the building, about 3 or 4 rooms from that from where that celebration was happening. We heard from the instructor who identified himself as Joad. He heard those shots, again, thought they were outside. They were, in fact, just 3 or 4 rooms away. The 2 women he was actually having lunch with, they were part of that celebration. From what he told our Macy Jenkins, they work in some type of administrative role there within the building, always there to help students, as he put it.
It's interesting as we look at this live picture right now. This is from one of our crews on the ground here. You see the number of people up against the building here. We assume that these are people who were inside the building and are waiting to be questioned in some shape or fashion. But that group hasn't gotten Much smaller in the past 2 hours that we've been.
Good observation. Again,
this.
statements have to be taken by officers here on scene, so I can only imagine that's a very slow and methodical process. Jonathan Gonzalez, live on the scene for us. And Jonathan, I know that your location is about a quarter mile away from what is happening here, but we've got some new information there from Mayor James Butts.
Yeah, I was just talking to the mayor 2 seconds ago. He's walking down the street right now. He's leading a group. Oh, excuse me, he's just right here. But he's talking to a couple people right now. So I basically asked him if he could confirm whether, the suspect has been taken into custody. All he could say is, look, all I have information is that the suspect was surrounded, and that he's waiting on confirmation for that good news that the suspect has been taken into custody. So as soon as he's able to confirm that, I will confirm it with you guys and our viewers. But right now, the situation has changed dramatically within the last 10 or 15 minutes. When we last showed you, we saw a number of emergency vehicles, first responders, officers, and everything leaving the scene. And we were told by the mayor when we last talked to him that people were no longer on lockdown, that they were able to finally go home, which is a big relief for the loved ones who are out here. We talked to people who have children.
All right, we'll continue to monitor the situation in Inglewood, California. We've had coverage from KNBC on this shooting near a college. 2 women hurt. Still learning some details on this throughout the evening. Portion, obviously, we're about 30 minutes away from the headliner taking over at Love and Life Fest. Seems like it's going good. We'll see you tonight at 11 for our new show then.